ESPN, The Zone.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title. Because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beebs likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
I'm here with Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. With the temperatures going up and temperatures going down right now, now is a good time to get your heating and air system looked at. Thomas, when somebody calls, you guys answer.
That's right. The phones are staffed by us. They're manned 24/7. We're ready to come out and take care of you that day.
How do they give you guys a call?
You give us a call at 256-503-4490.
And you can find you guys on the World Wide Web at
talenthvac.com.
And now is a good time to do this because you guys are offering a special deal.
That's right. We're doing $49 tune-ups this spring. We're also doing free second opinions. We offer that year-round. Somebody comes out, they say you got a bad compressor, leaking a refrigerant. Give us a call, see if we can save you some money.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. Thomas, one more time, that phone number.
256-503-4490.
AL certain number 21014.
Never miss a second of Huntsville Havoc hockey. It's it back to Ruffin. That's a good one. Huntsville has tied it up. 6 men on the ice. 1 puck into the net. Tie game. With the Havoc Zone. Only on 97.7 ESPN.com and the 97.7 ESPN The Zone app. WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This hour is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
How we doing, everybody? It is a Thursday edition of The Drive. It is Thursday, right? Yeah, it's Thursday. I'm telling you, when I stay up past my bedtime, it is starting to get to me more and more and more the older I get and the older I get. But it was
that's a young man's game. What y'all did last night.
That was quite the adventure that Joe Hunk and I went on last night as the Huntsville Havoc winners last night in overtime. And it was a 2-1 adventure. And game 1 goes to the Huntsville Havoc. And then game 2 comes up tomorrow night. I'll be up in Evansville, Indiana. So game 2, by the way, will be over on the Havoc Zone. How are you, Wes?
Doing good.
The Masters going on as we speak, and trying to be somewhat productive today. But, I mean, this is just one of the traditions unlike any other, which is when the Masters is on, I'm watching the Masters. And, by the way, there is another feature on masters.org, and that is when you go to the feature groups or their channels, they now offer announcers or natural sound.
Oh, wow.
They did that last year.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that last year.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
But don't they kill all the birds and squirrels and everything? You never see a bird or a squirrel. Did you know that? Have you ever noticed that?
No.
Yeah.
Well, I remember one year that they got called out where CBS was pumping in noise because a bird expert, whatever they're called, said, well, that's this bird, and that's
a
not
copper-headed warbler.
Yeah, and that's not natural to Augusta.
I don't think there are any birds there. I think you never see an eagle flying anything. I think.
Well, there's quite a few birdies on the golf course, but nonetheless,
I played a course one time, and the problem they had was the ducks at the ponds were stealing the balls and trying to hatch them.
Yeah.
So here's your gnat sound. Well, that's the gnat sound.
I just picture that music plays all the time at Augusta.
That's the featured group Nat Sound. And this is actually what we used to do when I was part of PGA Tour Radio. I remember during COVID, it was always the announcers would stay at home. And you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. We would there was this little studio in Duluth, Georgia, and we would get the Nat sound from the TV booth, and we would be calling golf in a little booth in Duluth, Georgia. And everybody thought we were we would travel. We would travel
the story, obviously.
We would travel regionally, but no, it was just a budget deal.
You know, if we do a Masters update next week with Katrick, I'm totally going to lie to him and tell him I didn't listen to the Nat sound. I'll listen to him.
Yeah, I have been listening a little bit to Masters Radio just because I'm just that warped. You're welcome, Masters Radio.
That's 3-0, Matt. Steve. That's 3-0.
It's almost like it's on a looper. This is live, by the way. This is the Rory McIlroy feature group. By the way, Roy is at a -4, chasing Justin Rose.
He just went in the water.
Did he really?
Yeah, you're behind.
Well, Justin Rose leads the way at -8. And that also a tradition unlike any other is
I think this is delayed because I was watching something else and Rose.
It could very well be.
Rose is like -6 now in the clubhouse.
Okay. This is another thing about, at home, I have DirecTV. So, and now that we're all on internet, whatever, I don't know what's live or what's Memorex. That old line back in the day. So I really, the other tradition, unlike any other, is the Chris Verno Masters update. We played a little bit of this the previous few years. So Chris Verno is a talk show host in Memphis. And so he gets hyped up for the Masters update. And one of the bigger deals that he does is the Masters update. And thought we'd play a little bit of a Chris Verno Masters update. What's happening with Scotty Scheffler? Come on.
Tradition.
Thank you. By the way, he's 4 under now. Anyway, that is a little bit of Chris Verno, who is he's out there. He's out there. There's no doubt about that.
Okay, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
At some time, somebody was telling me you play fantasy baseball, fantasy football like this.
Yeah.
Do you fantasy golf?
I'm sure that's out there. I'm sure it is. I think Abraham, like I need to specify my Abrahams. Tom Abraham, I know, does a FECTA whatever.
Right.
And it's, of course, the low score wins, but you pick 3 or 4 golfers. And so I'm sure there's fantasy golf out there.
I know there's fantasy NASCAR. Matter of fact, that's coming up again this weekend.
Is it really?
Yeah.
What is it? I think Bristol this weekend. And then it's Talladega.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost time for the spring race at Talladega.
Yeah.
Almost my hometown.
Ricky Bobby.
Ain't first, you're last.
Ricky Bobby.
You know, because I was thinking about that, and years ago when I was following golf more closely, I was a big fan of Vijay Singh.
Yeah, he actually withdrew.
Yeah, he's still playing seniors. He finished in Boca Raton, the old course at Broken Sound. He finished tied at 18 at 1 under par. Just last week. So he is a younger man than I thought. I guess he was younger than I thought he was when he was playing professionally. But good to see VJ still out there.
Coming up on the program today, Robbie Weinstein is going to join us. We'll talk a little SEC football, SEC spring football, but his primary beat is Vanderbilt, and we'll talk to him about what he is seeing with the Doors up there in Nashville after they were certainly the surprise of the SEC last year. But it'll be fun to talk a little SEC football as a whole. And honestly, covering spring football is always a chore. It feels like it's more of a chore this go around, considering the fact that these spring games are completely, it's a practice. Everyone is going to cover a practice. In fact, Hugh Freeze said this today on how A-Day is going to look for Auburn fans on Saturday.
Yeah, I hope they're not disappointed. I just don't think it's wise for us to go out there and beat each other up, and we're already kind of banged up. It'll be a normal practice like today, truthfully. And if you got to see today, there will be some endo, some skelly, and then we will, our young guys will go a little live period. And then we're going to end with what we call red zone lockout, which will be a live period. That's going to be first 1 to 18 wins. So offense gets the ball on the 25, you score a touchdown and an extra point, that's 7. Defense stops you, you kick a field goal, that's 3 points for the offense, 4 for the defense. You miss the field goal, defense gets 7, or a stop somehow or a turnover, they get 7. So first 1 to 18 wins that, and then end with an overtime period where we practice the overtime stuff. So that's what you can kind of expect. There'll be a skelly drive it period too, where we another chance to do some things where you hopefully are not too at risk to get injured, but it'll end with that the red zone lockout stuff going into an overtime period.
Skelly is what? What is he talking about? I don't know what he's talking about.
Pascal. That's just without a defensive line.
Okay. I didn't know. That's why I was asking. So
I've never heard it called that before.
Okay, thank you. Because I was about to say that is
but
the
I
first
haven't
time.
been. I haven't coached or been on the field for 15 years.
Of course, I could just re-rack what Lane Kiffin had to say yesterday, which was sentences, and they were words, but I still don't know what Lane Kiffin was talking about yet.
Well, so the secondary doesn't have one starter available right now.
Woo!
Yeah. I got an update.
Yeah, I bet you did, especially after those questions that were right out of the gate for Lane yesterday. And so we're all covering practice, not a game.
Well,
not a game.
So normally, I mean, I remember watching Auburn spring game
Mm-hmm.
in 2010. It's probably the worst spring game I've ever seen. It was just basically a practice. They had the best on the rest, and they looked horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. And they won the national championship that year.
Well, Hugh did mention in his press conference today how good the defense looked so far in the spring. And it did make me think on past conversations that we've had with Coach Dye on if you hear a coach mentioning the defense,
They have Auburn
usually
has,
a tell.
I mean, 15's the number one pick in my mind,
Well,
unless he gets hurt.
Yeah.
So they have some players on defense, no question. I don't know about the secondary,
Mm-hmm.
but also you got not a quarterback on the roster
Yeah.
that has been there for more than 2 weeks. So there's going to be a learning curve, huge learning curve there.
I tell you what, let's take Steeler Mike. We'll keep it here, and right after we're done with Steeler Mike, Brian, we'll roll into Robbie Weinstein just to let you know.
All right, that's subtle. Good thing I got that clue.
How are you, Steeler Mike?
What's going on, fellas? How are we tonight?
I'm a little tired, honestly, but truthfully, you asked, so I'm answering.
Cool story. And first of all, Steve, you had the second best call you've had this year last night. The hockey game was awesome. I heard it this morning on Drew and Tyson's show. It was just incredible. It's just not going to compare to onions. That's number one.
Well, you know what I did? So there is something else ran through my mind I thought about saying, but it's such an obscure reference. The old Pittsburgh Penguins play-by-play guy on a big last, walk-off would say, "Scratch my back with a hacksaw." So that was actually in the back of my mind thinking about that, but I didn't pull the trigger on it.
Well, I mean, it was awesome, but I wanted to share with you an incredible experience I had last weekend. I'm a big Pittsburgh Pirates fan, obviously. My dad's from up there, and love watching the Bucks, even though they're bad. And I love Greg Brown. I don't know if you know who Greg Brown is, the TV guy up in Pittsburgh.
I've heard the name.
Yeah, great guy. Been the announcer since '94. Been with the organization since '79. Always just loved him. And sent some emails and got to go up, got to meet him, got to meet Neil Walker in the booth, see where they called the game overlooking PNC Park. Just an absolute incredible experience. They couldn't have been kinder. Gonna go down the last series of the year in Atlanta, Pirates and the Braves, and meet up with them again. Just an incredibly nice guys, and man, just probably one of the best sporting moments of my life as far as being a fan.
Cool. That's awesome. Steeler Mike, it's always great to catch up with you, and I appreciate
we are family.
Yeah, appreciate. Yeah, that was back in the '70s. That was real right
that was
there.
Last time they were good. Right?
No, the '90s. Yeah, they were decent in the '90s.
Wes, that's enough right there. Come on. 1979, baby.
Yeah. That's been a minute. Willie Stargell and the crew, but anyway.
The Cobra, Dave Parker, baby.
Oh yeah.
He was liable to either hit one down the line or snort the third base line. You never knew.
He wasn't the only one.
Yeah, that wasn't. I don't even think they tested back then.
Yeah.
No.
I seem to remember people saying Daryl Strawberry.
Yeah,
it's a different time.
Yeah.
7 years later is probably better then.
Man, with those two nostrils, he could do some hard. I mean, man, a lot of money down the drain there.
All right, Steeler Mike. I appreciate the kind words, sincerely. Thank you.
Just say no.
Oh, goodness.
See you guys.
This will be a heck of a transition here as we roll into some football. Robbie Weinstein covers the Vanderbilt football program for 247, and he is kind enough to join us here on a Thursday. Robbie, how are you? You're with West Neighbors and Steve Moulton.
Hey, yeah, I'm doing well. Was out at spring practice this morning, and fortunately, after I imagine you guys probably had some of the same weather as us down there. After seemingly a week of endless storms, it was a really beautiful day out there. So it was good to get out and watch some football.
Well, it's actually rolling in, and for those in your vehicle right now, we're under thunderstorm watch until 11 o'clock tonight. But I digress to go back to the doors, and that it was one of the bigger stories that was I saw the amount of changeover via portal as well as coaching staff, and it certainly worked out in a big way for Vanderbilt last year. But tell me what you're seeing, because Vanderbilt is certainly on a lot more people's radar than this time last year, Robbie.
Right, yeah, they are, and I would say I'm seeing a pretty similar team, to be honest with you. I don't say that in a bad way. I think for Vandy, it's pretty important just to be able to consolidate, right? Just make sure you get to a second straight bowl game instead of losing ground. They look like a slightly improved team for me, to me for sure. I think they've really done some good work on the offensive line through the transfer portal, which was badly needed.
Mm-hmm.
And their defense looks pretty deep to me. I don't know that they have any true star players on the defense, but I think they've got a lot of solid guys who can definitely play in the SEC and be competent. So that's good for them. I still think they've got some stuff to work on offense, in particular at wide receiver. But in general, I mean, I've been in this job for 5 years, and it's definitely, in terms of the depth of the roster, the transfer portal has helped them over the last couple of years, because they've got quite a bit of guys who are able to get into SEC games and at least do their job.
Well, everyone certainly remembers Diego Pavia. I remember talking to Clark Lee. It was the last teleconference, when it happened right before that last teleconference, when Diego was suing the NCAA. And I asked Clark about whether or not that ruling and however it came down would affect the December recruiting period. And as Clark is always very open and honest. Every single question I ask him, I could kind of read between the lines that he was very optimistic about Diego coming back. And how much have you seen out of Pavia this spring?
Yeah, that whole storyline was crazy. They definitely, I think they had someone else lined up just in case, but they're fortunate that regardless of what ends up happening at the end of his trial, I think the NCAA waiver is going to stand. He hasn't been doing a lot this spring because this is now his 5th year in the fourth year in the New Mexico State system, if you will, under Tim Beck.
Yeah.
And so I think he knows it in and out. A lot of the players he's relatively comfortable with, such as Junior Sherrill is back. He was the top wide receiver last year. So he'll mix into drills just like all the other quarterbacks, but he sat out the first scrimmage, and then the second scrimmage he got a drive and a half, and he was so good that they just pulled him right there. It wasn't necessary to continue. They're really evaluating the rest of the quarterback room because they're going to need to make cuts, like a lot of teams will with the roster limit that's going to get put in, and they've got they're on pace to have 6 scholarship quarterbacks if they didn't make any cuts, and that's too many. So they've been focusing on evaluating the younger guys, and Blaze Berlowitz is someone who looks like he could possibly do some things next season if Pavia were to get hurt and maybe compete for the starting job in 2026. Pavia, when he has gotten in there, has looked very good, but I think that's not very high on their priority list, right? In terms of they know what they've got there.
Yeah, so offensively, I'm not expecting a whole lot of change from last year to this year of what we saw of just how they were utilizing Diego.
Yeah, probably not much. I think that the improved offensive line maybe will allow them to run their stuff a little bit more effectively. Like toward the end of last season, as you saw, they were just getting blown up at the line of scrimmage once the schedule got really tough at the end with South Carolina and LSU and Tennessee. I think that they need to get more of the traditional run game going, or at least be able to play through the tailbacks more, because Pavia was the leading rusher last season by quite a bit. And the reality is he's like 5'10", 200 pounds. And I think he got banged up over the course of the season, just taking punishment from SEC defenses. So that's what they're hoping. I've seen some positives definitely from the O-line. I still think, out of 16 SEC teams, if they have the 13th best offensive line, that's a big win for them. So it's not going to be a top half of the league type of unit, but I think that they, them and maybe like a Mississippi State or someone like that were probably, really at the bottom last season, and they're at least getting better there.
So is there a chance that Pavia won't be eligible next year? I mean, is that a possibility?
I mean, I don't think so. His court case is not over. So he could, it looks like he'll win the court case. I suppose that's not set in stone, but I don't think the NCAA would probably do that. That would be a pretty unpopular move, because they've issued that waiver to a lot of players in a similar situation from a JUCO standpoint. And so I think if they pulled the rug out from under all those players' feet, with only a couple months essentially at that point, like in June or something before the season starts, I don't think that would.
But you said it's a court case, right?
The NCAA issued a waiver as a result, so that it wouldn't just be Pavia. The court case only applied to Pavia. That was it. And
but that's still out. Is that still outstanding?
Is there another date that?
That was just the preliminary injunction. So the case is definitely still going. But the thing is that it wouldn't be very fair, I don't think, for Diego Pavia to get the extra year and nobody else like him gets it.
Yeah.
And so,
but if it's just a stay, if it's just a stay, then and the judge rules the other way, then all of them would be done.
Well, that's the case isn't going to continue until like 6 months from now, probably. So it takes a long time, and the judge, by issuing the injunction, I suppose, sort of acknowledged that he thinks that Pavia will win. And then it's very confusing. Like, this whole thing has been a mess for sure.
Yeah, so it doesn't make sense to me why he wouldn't be practicing more than he is if they weren't concerned about it, for the straight reason that you don't get hit when you're a quarterback in practice ever.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they are concerned about it at all. Honestly, I don't think that, the thing is that the court case is going to end after the season ends. That's the issue, is that, there's not going to be if the NCAA ends up winning, it'll be in like December, and the season will be over and he would have played.
So back to Vandy coming off this 7-win season, 3-5 in SEC play. Robbie, one of the other bigger storylines is the fact of the head coach being the DC. Basically, did I read something about that changing this year, or how much of can we expect Clark Lee to maintain that defensive coordinator role this fall?
Right. Yeah, no, you read that correctly. He turned it over to Steve Gregory, who had come on as assistant defensive coordinator or associate defensive coordinator for last year, whatever that means. And I believe he actually did call the plays for the last 4 games of the season, so the last 3 regular season games as well as the bowl game. It's a little bit of a mystery. This guy was a safeties coach in the NFL and has played for the New England Patriots. So he does not have defensive coordinator experience, or at least did not prior to the final 4 games of last season. I don't think that the structure and the scheme are really going to change. And I suspect, they're all on the same headset. So if Clark Lee wants to overrule some sort of play call, then he could do it. So I'd say it's mostly Clark Lee's defense, at least in terms of the vision. But yeah, he's not going to be completely as involved in coming up with the game plan, or certainly he's not going to be calling the plays. And so I definitely think it's fair to, raise that as a question mark, because, the last time that Clark Lee wasn't the defensive coordinator, it didn't go very well.
It didn't. It kind of goes into, or I know we focus a lot on offense for obvious reasons, but when you're good at something like, say, Lane Kiffin, you expect Lane Kiffin to be calling the plays. or Hugh Freeze, so that's why it surprised me when I read that, because Clark is really good at defense, and you saw the immediate impact, and certainly players, doing their jobs helps, but it looked like it was pointed in the right direction. I just thought it was odd that he would tinker with that after that success last year.
Yeah, I thought they would do that for another year, probably. So it happened a year sooner than I expected. And I thought that probably they had a similar process a couple years ago where they lost both offensive and defensive coordinators and promoted from within. The defensive coordinator in that case actually was Jesse Minter, who went to Michigan and was a huge success. And those internal promotions really didn't work out. And so I thought that probably they would make a similar hire to Tim Beck, the offensive coordinator, who has done a really great job, and hire somebody, maybe a really successful group of five, established defensive coordinator. And so that was another surprise to me. But also, the prior promotions didn't work out, but, Steve Gregory is his own guy. And it's going to be fascinating to watch, honestly, because it is a big roll of the dice.
It is. Something else you mentioned, Robbie, was that 105 number that is kind of hovering above all these college coaches. Has Clark really talked to you guys too much about maybe a plan moving forward? At least what I've heard from other coaches is that they're going to go through the fall regular, and then I guess it really depends on this House versus the NCAA case. But has Clark really talked too terribly much about reeling back the roster with these limits coming?
He has talked a decent amount about it, but I mean, similar to the Papia case, it's so confusing. They had that hearing, I think, earlier this week, and it's unclear. That was supposed to finalize some things. It's unclear still what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I believe they're going to cut it down to 105, and then the SEC still is asking teams to be 85 or under, at least in terms of scholarships. And so I suppose you can have 20 walk-ons. But there is, what happens if there's this idea that maybe the judge in this case wants them to phase in the roster limit over time. And so maybe
tell me you understood that, because I was trying to think about how do you phase in this?
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe you start at 115 or 110, goes down over. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so to not know that when, starting June 1st, when players get into town for summer workout and the freshmen are enrolling, and there's a couple of transfers who are going to be enrolling then too. I mean, you don't know how many players you need to cut, if any, right? It's really crazy. Really, really crazy.
It is. A quick look at Vandy's schedule, and they're starting two of their first three on the road, with Charleston Southern's at home, then at Virginia Tech and at South Carolina. It feels like this is very important spring. Not that, every other team's got a lot of the same issues, but being on the road right out of the gate, Vandy is not going to sneak up on anybody, in my opinion, in 25.
Yeah. I think that's a storyline to monitor, right? I mean, a big part of that Alabama game, I believe, was the psychological advantage, where Alabama had just beaten Georgia in the game of the year at that point, and I think that they weren't ready for that game. So that's not an advantage that Vanderbilt is going to get this coming season. I do think I kind of like their chances against Virginia Tech, just because Virginia Tech really lost a good amount of players from last season, and I'm not really a believer in Brent Pry at this point, to be honest with you. It seems like he's on the hot seat over there, but that's a really tough place to play. Very, very tough place to play. It's going to be rocking. And then South Carolina, I'm not going to pick Vandy over South Carolina until they show it. I think South Carolina has won like 20 games in a row in that series or something crazy, or 18 or 17. It's been since like 2007, 2008, something along those lines, since Vandy beat South Carolina, even though South Carolina's had some pretty beatable teams in there.
Yeah.
So it's a tough start to the season for sure. It really is.
Well, it's in terms of spring game, are they actually going to have a game, or is this are you covering a practice on Saturday?
Yeah, so fortunately it is a game, or at least a legitimate scrimmage. It's not, the compromise there is they're not going to put it on TV. It's not going to be on SEC Network or streaming. It'll be on the radio. So I don't know how much of that is, they've said they've claimed it's not due to the transfer portal poaching. I think maybe there's an element of not wanting to give early season opponents a chance to scout. But, I'm not entirely sure about that. So there will be real football played on Saturday. I'm glad about that because, I'm fortunate to cover a program where they're actually going to play real football. I don't really know what not having a spring game really does for you.
Yeah, I've reached out to Andy Burcham and Chris Stewart here in the state of Alabama, asking them how are they researching to cover a practice, and I'm getting but
truthfully, they haven't been playing spring games. Most of these, majority of schools have not played a real game. They've had glorified scrimmages at best.
Yeah,
sometimes best against the rest. Really, the only one that Coach Saban was the one that had a real game,
best on best,
where it was best on best the whole time. And I think it's a time to get better.
Yep.
But now, don't think that other players aren't looking. At the portal and everything else.
Right.
Because if it's too hard, they're want to go somewhere else. I mean.
Yeah, I think if players are going to transfer, then they're going to transfer. I'm not sure that, keeping the game, not having a game or not put on TV is honestly going to make much of a difference.
Yeah. Robbie, finally, I got to ask, your X feed, is that Coach Stallings with the basketball there on your X feed?
Yeah, it is. Many years ago, I was really fortunate to cover the Maui Invitational on site.
Nice.
And
nice.
They always have this ceremonial free throw shooting contest between the coaches. Kevin Stallings was always, I thought he was entertaining. I thought he was funny, but definitely a moody guy. And, to see him just so relaxed and with a smile on his face, it looked like there was nowhere else in the world he would rather be than on that beach shooting that ball. I just always thought it was a funny photo. I've had that for probably 10 years.
That's fantastic. I saw Coach Stallings on the Lipscomb campus when I was over there, and I know I want to say he's got some kind of family tie with the baseball program there at Lipscomb right now. But yeah, he looked very relaxed then as well. So I found it very entertaining, and I had to at least ask you about it, Robbie.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's doing in retirement these days, but I think he lives in Brentwood, so he's still around.
Robbie, I appreciate the info, and we'll be in contact with you because SEC Media Days is right around the corner, and hopefully we'll get a few more answers down at the spring meetings. It sounds like those spring meetings are going to be awfully interesting again down in Dustin.
Yeah. I think they will be a lot of questions to answer, but thanks for having me today, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, Robbie. That's Robbie Weinstein. You can check out that picture that I was talking about. That's R.W. Weinstein as he covers Vanderbilt. As the Doors, by the way, have 70% of their offensive production coming back. Thank you, Diego Pavia. And it's 73% of their defensive production is coming back as well.
What does their defensive production mean?
Tackles, sacks, tackles for loss, interceptions.
That's I think that's a weird statistic.
Okay. This is from ESPN.
What I'm saying is you can lose your best two defensive linemen.
Yeah.
And all that other stuff's not going to happen. So that's what I'm saying.
I hear you. Yeah. Let's go ahead and take our first time out. I see Drew DeArmond in the on-deck circle. All right, now. Here we go.
There's no food in here, though.
I know.
He showed up anyway.
He showed up anyway. Oh, no. Self-medicating.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ford Motor Company. From America, for America. Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford with a real quick quiz. Out of all the manufacturers, do you know which auto company employs the most hourly workers in America? Ford. Do you know which company assembles the most vehicles in this country? Ford. That's not just a coincidence. It's a commitment. A 120-year-old commitment to build in America for America. And And during this unprecedented moment in automotive history, you stand to benefit big time. Woody Anderson Ford is now offering employee pricing. You pay what we pay. We've got over 190 F-150s for you to choose from with generous finance rates and the best deals of the year on America's best-selling truck for 48 years in a row. Employee pricing can save you thousands off MSRP, and with over 600 Fords for you to choose from, there's a good chance you'll find just exactly what you're looking for. This offer ends May 31st, so hurry in. Woody Anderson Ford.
It's an amazing time in our industry. Things are changing so rapidly. With digital signatures and workflow software, we help our customers work from anywhere. This helps you save time and money and upgrade your technology. Like I said, it's an amazing time to watch our customers grow and succeed.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title, because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal. And we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beebs likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
There's power in caring when it is put into action. Each year, our bankers serve on nonprofit boards, support our local educators, and volunteer with our hometown food bank. I'm Bobby Humphrey, Vice President of Business Development for Bryan Bank, and community service is just not a line item in our mission statement. It's who we are. Because after all, Alabama is our home too. That kind of commitment to community might not be what you would expect from a bank, but it's exactly what you can expect from us. Give us a call or stop by one of our 2 offices in the Huntsville area and experience unbeatable service and legendary results.
Bryan Bank Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 2428943, member FDIC.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that his mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at woodyAndersonFord.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
It is anime night over at Toyota Field. Although you might need to dodge a few raindrops out there at Toyota Field.
Right. I would be taking cover if I were.
Is it pretty? It looks pretty ominous.
That was a great way to put it, Steve. Ominous.
So we are under a. Let's see here. What is this? Let me read it verbatim.
We're at a severe thunderstorm until 6:30.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
they extended it here recently.
Yeah. Tom Abraham called me, I want to say about an hour and a half ago, and said, "Boy, how about those storms?" And I said, "Yeah." What storms? Evidently, there was a massive storm over Winchester, Tennessee.
Oh wow. Wes has got the. Wes has got our.
He's got the.
He's got color radar.
He's got the Doppler 5000.
He's got color radar.
Right, he does.
Right on his phone.
Look, Margaret, there's something on color radar.
The old Doppler 5000.
It's not ground cluttered.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, come on. Tom lives in Winchester. He has to go down Philip Fulmer Drive every day. Who would want to do that? I sure.
The only reason I like going down Philip Fulmer Drive is because the lake's right there.
Well, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe you should jump in it.
That's true. That's Drew DeArmond.
Who, Phil or Tom?
Phil.
Okay.
Phil or
Wow.
both.
Wow.
Wow.
Calm down, everybody. Environmental Comfort Systems brings you our weekly conversations with Drew DeArmond. How are you, Drew?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you?
Doing real well. And I think covering high school, covering the spring football season is unlike any other, just because, I mean, we've always been a little bit in the dark, but it feels like the lights have been turned out in a bigger way this spring.
Well, I heard you talking some bandy and lawsuits, transfer portal. I mean, I was on my way in here, and Alabama scrimmage for the last time today for this second
morning at 8:15.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say it was an early one this morning, but and there's already reports of once the last practice, because they practice Friday and Saturday, and then we'll wrap up the second spring under Kalen DeBoer. That who knows, maybe Alabama will have a quarterback on the move with Austin Mack. We'll see. I know that they would like to keep all three of them through this coming season, and unless Austin wants to move down to FCS, there's
no way he can be a starting quarterback.
You're not going to be a starting quarterback at an FBS program, so it'll be interesting to see, if they can talk him into staying. But I do think he's third, because from what I haven't heard a ton about the scrimmage this morning, but what I did hear is I think Keelan Russell played well again. Keelan's getting better every day. And Ty certainly put himself in position to be the starting quarterback. And so I think those are your top two. Austin Mack is a good young player, but the NFL model is, that's that you can make a lot of argument about it, because again, sometimes when you see these franchises that only have two quarterbacks, they only carry two, and it may start being that way.
But they can't get hit.
Yeah, I know. Welcome to the depth situation.
Yeah,
but I mean, I will say this: I do think if you're just thinking about if you're Austin Mack, I still say again, unless you're willing to go down to an FCS situation,
well, he's not going to go anywhere he is and play right away anyway. He ought to stay where he is. And
for the football season.
Yeah, because you never you're talking about the other guys. A freshman has never played a game.
Yeah.
Who knows? They're a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get with that deal. I'm telling you. I think Austin Mack would be the second string.
You think he'll be the backup?
Yeah, early and until maybe the middle of the year.
But we'll see. I mean,
how big is this guy?
Russell. He's 6'2".
Yeah, but how much does he weigh?
He looks like he weighs about 185.
That's what I thought. I mean, he's not a big guy. I mean, I think.
How old is he?
He's a true freshman.
Is
he 17 or is he 18?
I don't know.
He's probably 20. Most of them are 20.
He did not reclassify.
Okay.
See, Austin Mack actually did. Austin Mack should, in theory, he redshirted last year at Alabama after playing a little bit at Washington. So I think he's going into it. This will be his redshirt sophomore year in the fall, but he actually should be a redshirt freshman because he reclassified. He's from the same high school as Jonah Williams over there in Northern California.
Okay.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Well, the same program, yeah. Folsom.
Yeah, because Jonah Williams' parents grew up in Birmingham.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm actually met them, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was another colossal error by Auburn because he had his dad was like a Georgia grad and his mother was an Auburn grad, and I think he had high interest in Auburn.
They didn't mention that to me. They just said they were from Birmingham.
It was interesting because
need to know basis, right?
Nick Saban in Alabama pounced on that, and he ended up becoming a 3-year starter, and now he's still playing in the NFL. I think he's with the Arizona Cardinals now. I know he spent the first several years of his career with the Bengals, but I think Jonah is he's almost 10 years in, so he's certainly had a long career.
That's crazy. My life's gone back so fast.
Yeah, I know.
10 years. Wow.
Well, think about Marlon Humphrey. You how good friends you are with Bobby. I mean, Marlon left after he was a redshirt sophomore in 16. I think Marlon just got married. So, it's crazy. I saw his first high school game, varsity.
Right.
Over there at Hoover back when he was a 10th grader. And I was like, well, this kid's going to be big time. You could just see it straight up how good he was going to be.
Jonah only had one bad game. And that was against Auburn.
Yeah.
When Auburn beat Alabama, and then Alabama ended up winning the national championship.
17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the only game that I thought he played bad in. The whole time he was there.
Yeah, I mean he can play. There's no doubt.
We were having snap issues and all kind of different
Yeah.
issues in that game.
As Nick would say, funny things happen down on the plains.
There's no question. There's no question about
Voodoo.
Yeah, well, Jalen Miller had something to say about that.
Well,
and that voodoo was reversed because he had 3 disaster plays in a row and then threw the best pass of his career, which might get him drafted in the 2nd or the 3rd round. Not buying the 1st, but hey, you never know. So
just takes one.
Yeah, they took that quarterback from Florida, and he actually had one good game last year.
Mm-hmm.
And
Richardson.
But he is not. I mean, what are they going to sign him again?
You talking about the Colts?
Yeah, because it's coming up. It'd be this year, right?
He's
on the rookie deal still.
Yeah,
but this will be the last year, right?
I think I think that he'd probably have an option. But I mean, I think he'd have an
4
option.
year
after
with
last
option,
year.
isn't it?
I mean,
that's right.
He's like Trey Lance's older brother. It's a disaster. Or younger brother. I'm sorry. I guess Trey came along before him because Trey had that 1-game tryout during the Dr. Dumbass season. And remember, it was a made-for-TV game, and he really didn't even play well. But see, they were capitalizing on the Carson Wentz deal because Carson was playing well at that time.
That's right.
And, for our listeners.
So the big word I heard out of Wes all last year was discipline, and it seems like it's been addressed a little bit better this spring. What are you hearing in terms of tightening the screws a bit?
Well, I mean,
around the
I think
football
everybody's
program
on the same page. I think
does it sound different? I mean,
it's certainly it's everything that I'm hearing is positive. I mean, I know that Kalen is getting out ahead of things and trying to, and again, Nick Saban.
Well, you hear the
communicated
players
with the
talk about it too, Drew.
Yeah, but Kalen's more open with the media, and like you said, the players. Some of the leaders like Deontay Lawson, who's out for the spring, but who's spoken very highly. I just think Kalen's much more comfortable where he is now. He was put in kind of a hard spot last year because all those guys returned. A lot of the football team did. It was the same team as the year before in many ways.
Yeah.
And it's a transfer portal area. You're trying to keep your roster together. Now he's kind of shaped it the way he wants. I think the offense is going to look different because I think he's got 3 quarterbacks. The thing I've heard him mention, like I just try to listen closely to what they're saying when they speak, but he's talked about the vision of the quarterbacks. I think and then they wanted to make changes to the wide receiver core because they felt like last year it wasn't good enough for what they want to do. Now, for a different style of coach or even a Nick Saban who likes to run the football, maybe, if it's Coach Saban threw the ball, but maybe Coach Saban could make it work. He recruited all those guys. But styles make fights, styles make coaches. And I think after a year, Kalen DeBoer was like, okay, I think we got 2 guys. One of them was his. And so he's thinking, we've got to go out and get us some more guys, some more dudes. And I'll say it again, losing Jalen Hale, nobody realized it at the time because he made some few plays as a freshman, but he didn't play at all last year. That hurt him. But I think they just
losing who now?
Jalen
Hale.
Yeah.
Hale.
So
I don't even remember him.
Well, wide receiver.
Yeah, he made a few plays as a freshman, and he was having a good spring. He tore his ACL, so he was out. Yeah. And so he'll be number 8 now. But again,
I heard they're bragging on the kid that caught the touchdown pass from Austin Mack, played a little bit against Michigan, ran the raw routes. It looked like to me on several plays. Rico Scott. Yeah.
And and then the thing is, he would be 5th or 6th right now, in my opinion, because Isaiah Horton has definitely made an impact since he's came over from Miami.
We do need to take our final timeout. We'll continue here with Drew as Wes continues to take a look at the Masters going on.
I've already seen all this.
Yeah, but this is still old.
Yeah.
Well, you know how it.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Now is the time to sign up for the Eagle Installation WZZN Charity Golf Tournament to benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation. This year's event is the morning of April 21st at Cherokee Ridge, and each member of the winning team not only gets the championship belts, but a full year membership to Cherokee Ridge. Breakfast and lunch are provided, plus tremendous prizes and a chance to win $100,000. Cost is $800 a team or $200 per individual, and corporate sponsorships are available. Send an email to 977WZZNevents@gmail.com to reserve your spot today.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at gensuperstore.com.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up. Where's the best place for sports? What about the best place for wings? If you answered Jefferson's for both, you're right. Jefferson's is also a great place for value. Every Monday, kids eat free with the purchase of an adult meal, and teachers bring your teacher ID and you eat free every first Tuesday of the month up to $15. At Newmarket, Jefferson's will be opening a new location at 2190 County Road 65 very soon. Jefferson's, best place for sports, best place for wings. Hampton Cove and soon in Newmarket.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Is your concrete sinking? Whether it's your driveway, sidewalk, or patio, those uneven surfaces are not just ugly, they're dangerous. That's where AFS comes in, a groundworks company. They use state-of-the-art concrete lifting solutions to prevent tripping hazards, and they're the best at what they do. Schedule your free inspection at afsrepair.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Scattered showers and thunderstorms will remain in the forecast for this Thursday night. Temperatures are expected to fall into the upper 40s. Heading into our Friday, expect another round of scattered showers, mainly in the afternoon. Otherwise, we'll see partly sunshine. High temperatures warming into the low 60s. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Can't get a ticket? Never miss a second of Huntsville Havoc hockey.
Huntsville has a 2-on-9, and that is okay.
With the Havoc Zone, only on 97.7 ESPN.com and the 97.7 ESPN The Zone app.
You're listening to The Drive, a little update for you if you're headed out to the Trash Pandas game tonight. Go and expect a rain delay. I just talked to Josh Carey. He is expecting to have a rain delay for a while. They're going to keep you posted. If you're listening on Talk Radio WCCN, we'll start on time at 6:20, and then Josh will get you started, and then we'll go back to some regular programming for a while we wait for the weather.
What, it's anime night. You got time to watch an anime series.
Oh, yeah.
I recommend My Hero Academia. It's
really?
highly recommended by a friend of mine. I don't watch it, but my best friend in the world watches that, and he is a big fan of that. It also is the sum total of all the anime I know.
Yeah. I just leave that to Claire out there. And anyway, by the way, John Abraham, Captain Cool, is our resident anime expert. So
is he?
Yeah, he was all in on that tonight. We are walking you up to Phillies and Braves coming up here tonight.
No, I'm kidding.
What's that?
I'm kidding. They have actually played pretty decent against Phillies so far. That was kind of heartbreaking last night.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
So what's the Braves record?
2-9.
It's
2-9.
every night's heartbreaking.
2-9
so far. It has been.
So what are the odds? Have they gone that way down? They're going to make the playoffs
on making the playoffs.
Yeah, I would say it's the odds.
But does everybody make the playoffs now? I mean,
just about
pretty much in everything.
Yeah, just about, but especially at the wild card. Spencer Schwallenbach is on the mound tonight for the Braves. He's 1-0.
He's pitched well
with an ERA of 0.00. That's what it's going to take for the Braves to pull home a win.
To beat the Titans.
Yeah, that's right. Braves now 6 games back of first place, even though they are 2-9 on the year. 256-576-4977 is the telephone number if you'd like to participate. Round 1 is done at Augusta National as Justin Rose is your leader in the clubhouse at -7.
Yeah, he had a chance. He was -8 with 2 holes left.
He was.
Went in the woods
18
on 17 and 18. Saved it on 17. Couldn't save it on 18. But if he hits it in the fairway the way he was playing, he's going to set the record. But he didn't. So
Corey Connors, the Canadian, is at -4. And then you got Scotty Scheffler, your defending champ. He is at -4 as well. Bryson DeChambeau.
He has a circle or a square on his. He looks like he's playing that. What was that old game?
He's still on the
Hollywood
courts.
Squares.
Yeah, Hollywood Squares. That's what he looks like. He's a circle or a
DeChambeau
square
is
on every hole.
Yeah, circle, square, so a circle, square,
Yeah,
circle,
all over the
square, circle, circle,
He's going to
circle,
take a Xanax when he
square.
gets off tonight.
He's on 18 right now after getting a 5 on 17. So that is a bogey there on 17. But yeah, he is one of the few that's still out on the course. So not everybody is done, but no one is going to catch up to Justin Rose at today. Yeah. And it's very rare.
If he keeps hitting in the woods, though, he was falling apart the last 2 holes. I mean, you get to where you're going to make history there, and your nerves have to go. I mean, he was shushing the crowd right before he hit in the woods on 17.
Shushing the crowd. Fred Couples is under par at -1. Always fun to see some older names still very competitive out there at Augusta National.
So how did they do the holes? Because who decides where the hole placements are going to be? Is it based on the weather?
It's honestly from what I remember, especially now, there's a lot of traditional hole settings for day 1, day 2.
Yeah, I know that. We need to get somebody on talking about that.
Yeah, I reached out to Grant Boone from the PGA, from Golf Television and the Golf Network. He is going to come on here on Monday, so we can ask Grant. And it's kind of a wrap up, if you will, of the tournament.
We also need to get somebody on from last year's team of Alabama, because I want to ask them some questions. I think it's been long enough.
Who would be a good person?
Somebody that maybe
Drew. Who would be a good person to give us the insight?
Not going to the NFL, or maybe doesn't have anything to lose.
Are you talking about a current player or an ex?
No,
current player just graduated.
Well, something tells me if I reach out to Alabama, it can't be a current player.
No, I'm not. No, I don't want to. Yeah, because he's just going to give you the party line.
Yeah,
I want to know what the locker room was at the end of last year.
Well, I would say one of the best ones that you'd probably get some really good, just forthright. Commentary would be Malachi Moore. To me.
Well, he's getting ready.
He's about to be. It can't be a guy that's going to go in the NFL draft.
Yeah. Well, understand.
We need to go to a Sports Center timeout.
Yes,
that's what we need to do.
Because
Sports Center. Live on Augusta. Smith, defending champion Scotty Scheffler, answered any doubts about his readiness to win another green jacket by posting a bogey-free 4 under 68.
Tied for second with Corey Connors and Ludwig Oberg at 4 under. And 3 shots behind the leader, Justin Rose, who shot a 7 under 65. And ESPN's Mark Schlabach says he likes Scheffler's low-key approach.
I think he's the best player out here by far. The kind of guy you'd want your kids trying to emulate. He's a great family man. He's strong in his faith. He's not, well, I tell you, he's not going to do anything wrong. You got to rest his last year. But he's brilliantly boring, if that makes any sense.
It does.
You know, he is who he is. He's not going to change who he is. He's gonna win a Masters, and he's gonna go home to Dallas and spend time with his wife and you know, the son, and that's gonna be it.
Heard on ESPN Radio's Joe Hughes. Scheffler is just the 4th defending Masters champ who opened the next year's tournament with a bogey-free round in the past 30 years. And 65-year-old Frank Couples opened up his 40th appearance by shooting a 1 under 71, becoming the second oldest to shoot under par in any Masters round. College hoops, High Point men's basketball coach Alan Huss is stepping down and will rejoin Greg McDermott's staff at Creighton, where he will be named head coach in waiting. Sources told ESPN's Phil Bama and Jeff Rosella. Coming up in the NBA, a big matchup with playoff implications as the Timberwolves are in Bryan City to take on the Grizzlies. Minnesota currently 8th in the West, just a 1 game behind Memphis for the 6th seed. Coverage begins in 2 hours on ESPN Radio. On to the NFL, where the Colts are doing all for kicker Matt Gay, just 2 years into a 4-year contract.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Friday, we're less than 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. I'll tell you the unheralded prospects that I'm most excited about. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Day one of the Masters is almost done. Is that your boy, Hideki Matsuyama?
He's had an unlucky day. He hit the on 13.
Yeah, his back 9, he had a 39. Boy, that's an unlucky day.
Well, he had a 7 on a hole where he hit the he actually hit the pin,
right,
and it went in the water.
Wow,
for the pin. Just and he just missed it. He just had a lip out on the last hole. Yeah, so he's
Heard from Hugh Freeze today as we get ready for another scrimmage. Well, a practice coming up on Saturday.
The young guys are going to hit. Oh, that's exciting. I mean, it's just not. I mean, I'm not picking on him. Everybody.
It is what it is. Yeah. Was there anything worth? How about the defensive line there, Coach?
They are. Still do the wrong thing some. And you know, the biggest thing about them, I think, in coming to this level is demanding that there's zero loafs. Because big guys, you know, if the play goes away and, you know, we have to demand that there's no loafs. And I've seen constant improvement in their effort. When they know what to do, they're a handful. And, you know, obviously they're going to make some mistakes, just like Morris's growth is exponential from last year to this year. And, you know, that's just the way it is. I mean, they're going to make some mistakes with all the adjustments that you have to make with the different things.
All right. I'm going to stop you right there because when I first heard that answer, that didn't get, I mean, if I'm an Auburn fan, it doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies about my D line.
Well, I mean, this is what it is. They can't. It's not the loafing. Loafing's horrible. But the fact that they would loaf, maybe they shouldn't have recruited those guys, or maybe they're too young to play. Maybe because there you go. But the deal about a defensive lineman doing the wrong thing, you can have the perfect defense called, and he's supposed to go to the A gap, which is to his left.
Yeah.
He goes to the right to the B gap.
Yeah.
And the linebacker goes to the B gap, and then the other defensive lineman goes to the opposite A gap. You know, with this hole you can drive a truck through. If they do the wrong thing, everybody can be perfect, but him, and it can be a touchdown. happens all the time. It's the defensive lineman control the line that can control the line of scrimmage wins football games.
Very true.
End of story.
And that's going to be a big key for Alabama because I think they're going to be deep in the back end. I think the linebacker core, once Jefferson, Lawson get back, I think that it's going to be really solid. But D-line and from what I understand, I think they're proud with they're happy with the progress. I think Kane Womack.
They've been bragging on 2 freshmen that were redshirt freshmen.
Everybody happier with Kane now? I know half the people, half of the Bama fans wanted to get rid of him.
Well, they want to get rid of it. They want to get rid of Coach Saban. Some of them. They just, it is
Kane,
what it is.
I think Kane being an overseer.
There are people that Georgia wanted to change the quarterback the whole time they won 2 national championships.
Oh no.
Now they don't have a quarterback because of it. I think.
Yeah. Hey, they wanted to put JT Nerve-Wrack in there for the national championship game, Steve. You know what I'm saying?
We got Gunner. We got Gunner now. It's all good with Gunner.
You know, I mean that was amazing to me. We got to just put JT Nerve-Wrack in there, and then and bench the guy that got us there. Woo.
That was coming from that expert over there. That he wanted. Well, he did interview with us one time. I guess he came to in
he's
days.
He's talking about Griffith.
Griffith.
Yeah, Mike comes on a decent bit.
One year he said he couldn't come on. You don't remember?
Oh, yeah. That was when he for 6 months he thought he could make some money.
Yeah.
He was getting paid by a couple people, and he thought he'd get paid by everybody, and then he came crawling back.
Then he found out, welcome to reality.
Yeah, you hadn't called me, you hadn't texted me.
Well,
and then we brought him over there. Oh, anytime, man, anytime.
Yeah.
That's when he told us at one time that Georgia had 3 first-round draft picks at quarterback, and JT Nerve-Wrack was one of them.
Well, the portal opens up next Wednesday, Drew. Do you have any feel on how crazy that 10-day period is going to be?
I don't think it'll be crazy for the football program. Austin Mack may or may not leave. I still have to see it to believe it. I think people read some post on some Discord. I don't even know what Discord is. I just know it's one of these things where you chat. I think I may have messed with it one time. People they send me these Discord posts and everything, and I'm just like, look, man, let's just wait it out. But I don't really think there's going to be a lot of movement on the football program. There may be a couple guys. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be more Alabama trying to attack a couple of spots that they need to address, which of course is punter. And I think they need a punter, and I think they need a blocking tight end because they have no depth. I mean, right now, and it wouldn't surprise me if you go to the open practice, those folks, and I hope everybody does if they have the time to go to the practice on Saturday. You'll probably only see a couple of basic walk-ons, and one of them, Peter Knudsen, is a guy from Weber State who's a graduate transfer, and he had a good scrimmage a couple weeks ago. I don't know what he did today, but he's basically the lone wolf. They have him and another walk-on is all they have left because all the tight ends are hurt. And then and Cuevas is a little banged up, but I just think they're being cautious with him. They got to have him back. Danny Lewis, they got to have him back. Marshall Pritchett.
Danny Lewis has been hurt since he's been there.
Marshall Pritchett, true freshman, got hurt as well. So, and then they lost a couple in the portal. So I think they need to address blocking tight end. I think they had a guy like William Sanders, who's a redshirt freshman from Brookwood. They did this with Kendall Randolph West throughout his career. They're using one of the offensive linemen as an extra tight end because they have to. I mean, you got to create numbers. Right now, I'll be honest with you, they're so thin in a couple spots, especially tight end. It would be hard to have an 8A game for them. And again, I think that's why you see the spring games changing so much because Kirby went on that rant when he started this spring about depth. You just don't have enough. And that's why a lot of people are not.
Because if you're second string, you go to the next team.
Yeah, you do. You're going to the next opportunity. You're leaving. And so Alabama's going to have a couple areas. Now, if Austin Mack did transfer, do I think Alabama would explore the possibility of bringing in another quarterback? Yeah, sure. Because they've got a couple of walk-ons down there as well. But again, like Wes, like you said, quarterbacks get hit. Quarterbacks, or you can get hurt. So you better. I do think that Kellen DeBoer's up front. I would imagine that they're going to try to convince Austin Mack to stay because again,
he's been with him for a long time.
he has. And like Wes said, 2 injuries and you're the dude. So it's not
Hell,
that
it could be 1 injury for him. I'm not sure.
Well, that's what I mean.
Play. It's kind of like when we had no idea. Well, I kind of did that. Tua was going to be so good.
Well, yeah,
like, he wouldn't have started at the first of the year. He didn't know what to do. That's what I'm saying.
So since you said that name, Drew said something to me about the freshman quarterback down at Alabama. I don't, come on.
I mean, look, I just know. When I first time I ever saw
Keelan Russell,
I knew he was going to be big time. First time I ever saw Bryce, same deal. You could just see it, and it's the same deal with Keelan.
No, yeah, but Bryce wasn't. He wasn't very. I mean, he didn't play very good. And
no, he didn't play. No, he didn't. He was a backup. He made some plays, but you could see the talent was there. And again, Tua, he made some amazing plays, but as we know, he didn't get his action that mattered until the national championship game. He just played in a few games to back up 4 or 5. But I do think Keelan's a big-time talent. I do think that Ty's going to – but I think it's good for Ty. See, some people want him to be declared the starter right now and be transparent. I think it's good to make you work for something, and I think it makes Ty have to stay sharp if you know that somebody's behind you can play. I think it did that with Jalen Hurts because he made
both those guys better. The best thing that ever happened to Jalen Hurts is he got benched. Yeah. Because if he hadn't, he wouldn't have developed as much as he developed. And then going to Oklahoma and seeing a different way to play the game, it just everything worked out for Jalen Hurts, and it made him have even more intestinal fortitude. But I knew we had a quarterback the second game when Ole Miss hit him right in the mouth, which is. Again, it's okay to hit the Alabama quarterback in the face, but we're not allowed to touch the other quarterback, which is now it's the truth. For whatever reason, they hit.
When you blew a 24-3 lead.
Yes, was that Hugh? Was it?
Yeah, it was Hugh. It was free. Yeah.
Yeah. So they scored. The defense scored as much as the offense that game.
Oh no! I mean, the biggest play in the game
was that the non-offensive touchdown year.
That was Eddie's first time really getting a big time shot to return punts, and you saw immediately how electric he could be.
Yeah. So Eddie Jackson was there were a bunch of big plays in there, but to me, the strip sack touchdown, where beginning of the third quarter, where Alabama tied it up, it just changed the whole game. I mean, after that, they all had Ole Miss had their head down. And of course, Jonathan Allen returned one for a touchdown as well. And lucky.
I mean, these are all names that are playing in the National Football League. That's what I mean.
Well, no,
I don't think 22. The guy that stripped. Who was the guy that stripped him? The guy from Daphne High School.
Oh yeah, you're talking about Ryan Anderson.
Ryan Anderson stripped him, and
I don't think he and TJ Yeldon are both done now.
I think they're both done.
Yeah,
What did he get hurt?
I'm sure.
I mean, they both played for several years in the NFL, but they're done. But the thing is, and speaking of that defense, though, that was 2016. Jeremy Pruitt was there then in 17. I think this coaching staff defensively, and that just shows the greatness of Nick Saban because he had to manage it. But he also hired those guys. I think the defensive staff is the best they've had since 17.
He was on the practice squad in 23 for the Steelers.
Yeah.
So Ryan Anderson.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
He I mean, just like everybody else.
I mean, that's just a couple of years
ago. Get hurt.
I mean,
everybody gets hurt.
Yeah, they do.
Yep.
His motor was high.
Oh, he was something else. He's the one that wore the jersey to the spring.
Brandon Chicken. Brandon Chicken. And
that was the classic.
I forgot about that until you mentioned it. Yeah. Oh, Brandon Chicken.
So what was that? Where's that guy?
He missed his NIL opportunity.
Oh man, did he ever?
Yeah. So what was amazing about that? They found a pound of pot in that guy's car, and they asked him what whose pot it was. And he said Brandon Chicken.
Yep.
Unbelievable. That's. I mean, those guys, how they didn't break a smile then to get them all arrested? I don't know.
Okay. All right.
APB Brandon Chicken.
This Thursday is now officially complete. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take our final time out, come back, final call for phone calls. If we do not hear from you on the other side, then it's full gorgeous radio of Mr. Ingram there with the Atlanta Braves radio network. 256-576-4977 on the other side.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Now is the time to sign up for the Eagle Insulation WZZN Charity Golf Tournament to benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation. This year's event is the morning of April 21st at Cherokee Ridge, and each member of the winning team not only gets the championship belt, but a full-year membership to Cherokee Ridge. Breakfast and lunch are provided, plus tremendous prizes and a chance to win $100,000. Cost is $800 a team or $200 per individual, and corporate sponsorships are available. Send an email to 977WZZNevents@gmail.com to reserve your spot today.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title, because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beams likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
Your Rocket City Trash Pandas are home for a total of 15 games in the month of April. Promotions include 4 fireworks shows, 2 bobblehead giveaways, 1 cat night, and even an appearance from Bluey to round out the month on April 27th. To get your tickets and learn more about everything going on at Toyota Field, check out TrashPandasBaseball.com.
And now, a man who knows what you ate for breakfast.
Now for the biggest thinker of them all.
He knows it all. He is Drew DeArmond. Listen to Drew and Scott Tyson weekday mornings. It's Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
But that trick never worked.
Well, if you enjoy Drew and myself talking, well, you're going to get more of that tomorrow morning.
Probably some 80s music, too.
Yeah, it means I'm waking up early.
That's what this is, isn't it?
Johnny Boy.
When did this come? I don't think this is 80s. Yeah, that's what I
Todd
thought.
Lundgren.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great tune.
What year was this come out?
Now you put the disc jockey on the spot.
Yeah, that's you don't know. I don't know.
Well, I heard this song a million times when I was working at Just for Feet.
Well, since we've got a short day tomorrow, I figured to go ahead and go in some Friday music
Yeah,
on Thursday.
That's right.
Go ahead and start your weekend with the drive. And just tell your boss you're not showing up because it's really Saturday.
There you go.
That work for you, boss?
Absolutely. Whatever you said.
Yes, sir.
Let's see here.
I mean,
So-
I didn't realize this song years ago. I didn't know the meaning it could have had for our country the last 4 years.
It says 1983.
Really?
I never would have gone there.
Yeah, me either.
1980.
Wow.
April
I mean,
1983.
Brian's the disc jockey.
Guess I'm the disc jockey.
Wow. I never
He's
would have
not
thought
even listening to that
83.
one.
Well, yeah,
either, man.
because
coaching.
talk radio,
Yeah, he's the one dealing with that.
WZZN, having to talk things out there with Josh Carey.
Yeah,
over there,
trying to get everything set up.
Well, it's I think going to be a rain delay for the Trash Pandas on anime night.
It sounds like, at least for now, the break.
I remember listening to that song, not wanting to go to practice one day.
Oh, I can imagine.
So that in the spring.
Yeah.
1983. So you mentioned about what's the oddest job you've ever had, Drew DeArmond?
Oddest?
Yeah.
I don't know if I could. I mean, I guess. I mean, I've done this. I've done the odd jobs. I've been a guy that cleaned, buildings.
I'd say radio host.
Yeah, that's something I didn't expect. I will say that. I mean, I will, if somebody had told you that, I know they always thought I'd go into sports, but it would have been writing.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a guy that didn't even like to stand up in front of people in high school and speak. So they never would have thought that I'd be speaking for a living. I can assure you that.
Well, you've grown quite a bit here.
Yeah. I mean, like I was telling Wes the other day when we were on together, I was like, this is 10 years for me now.
Yeah.
After this month has passed, we're into April. So it was March of 2015. And so
pretty
now,
awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's the longest I've ever been employed by a company, and I sure appreciate that.
Likewise.
Not really.
Yeah, likewise. In
Not
fact,
for lack of trying.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the previous administration, anyway.
Well, we don't want to go there, man.
I'm next month is 15 years for me.
Yeah, because
here with the radio station.
Because I worked with you guys at this station before being employed, and so I mean, I remember the first game I ever covered.
You, Drew.
Well, yeah, exactly. You guys let me cover a game in 2014 when Alabama beat Texas A&M 59-0, and Ryan Fowler infamously looked at me and after watching warm up and said, "Alabama's just destroyed."
I remember
Did he say that? Really?
I remember. Yeah. We're about to get destroyed.
He's like, oh, there's no energy.
That was Kevin Sumlin, I think.
Yeah. And then it's 31-0 in the first quarter. And I turned to Ryan and I was like, hey, man.
How we feeling?
I was like, just tell me how you're feeling before every Bama game. And then I know exactly how it's going to happen.
So Wesley said they were going to win 2 times. They lost both times.
Uh-oh.
Why was it? I mean, you wanted to get the press, call him.
Yeah.
I miss that old press box. That is long
I do miss that
gone. That is long gone.
I mean, wow. I'll tell you what, man.
So I mentioned about the returning production back in hour number 1 for Vanderbilt. How about this? This is ESPN stats and info for Alabama. Returning production 63%. That's 35th in the FBS. 63% on offense. 62% on defense. Their top returning leader on offense is Jam Miller. 668 total rushing yards, 7 touchdowns. Ty Simpson, 167 passing yards, no touchdowns. Ryan Williams, the leading receiver, coming back at 865 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. And Deontay Lawson is the returner leading wise tackling with 76 tackles that he had last year for Alabama.
Yeah, his high school coach just went back to his alma mater too, which is very interesting. Got hired by T.R. Miller. That's one Ronnie Cottrell.
Yeah. so
really, I didn't know that.
So Drew,
Bruton.
Are they going to offensively be the same as last year? I mean, same
No.
scheme.
They're going to do. There won't
So
be.
what's the difference in the scheme? What's the difference?
Watch the Washington Huskies took 2 years ago. It'll be more
Penix.
It's going to be operating from the pocket, reading, getting rid of the ball quickly. There's going to be now the quarterback can scramble and things of that nature, but I don't think you're going to see near as many quarterback runs. I think you're going to see a more traditional running game. We just mentioned Jam. I think Jam, Richard
See,
Young.
we were missing that last year.
Mm-hmm.
The running game was an issue last year
because the quarterback did most of it. It just they couldn't get the running backs in rhythm. Don't forget, they had a 1,200-yard rusher at Washington his last year there, and his injury in the national championship game kind of limited them too. They weren't as balanced as they needed to be. But I just think you're going to see them spread the ball around to a bunch of different guys. I think they're going to be harder to defend.
Are they going to be like 4 wide? They're going to be.
I think in most cases it's going to be a 4 wide. I think sometimes depending on the progress and the health of the receiver core, I think we'll see some 5 wide. But I think 3 and 4 all the time. I think Cuevas is going to have a chance to take a big jump at tight end if he can stay healthy.
He played well at times last year. That's for sure.
And so I think he's going to be involved a little bit more. And I think the backs in the passing game, because watching Daniel Hill, he can really catch the football. He'll be number 4 this year, everybody, not 20. 20 is driving Washington. And of course, if we could get Connor Neighbors on the phone, he'd probably have some things to say about that. Probably not all of them great from the standpoint of not having him anymore over at Louisiana, but he's a good player.
Well, did either of you have an issue with this? Because I'm reading through, this is ESPN stats and info. And I'm rolling through Alabama here.
Let me talk about Washington real quick. Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Because we mentioned Washington.
Yeah.
Washington, his second game at Louisiana Lafayette, had 1 carry for 80 yards.
Yeah.
They never put him back in.
He's a good player.
For a touchdown.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Steve.
The way this is worded, I'm just like, really? But I'm wondering if Bama fans really think this. It's entitled, this is ESPN stats and info. Can Bama bounce back in the second year under DeBoer? The transition in the post-Nick Saban era didn't go smoothly in Tuscaloosa.
Well, I mean, has it gone smoothly ever?
9
wins last year wasn't smooth enough.
Well, I mean,
that's just because of Nick Saban's standard.
First of all, you have these guys write these clicks. It's clickbait.
Lost 4 games since 07.
You can't listen to these.
Lost 3 conference games since 2010. I mean, say that out loud. 2010.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2025.
Oh, I know.
Didn't go smoothly.
I mean, the amazing.
It didn't go as planned because the team could have been a lot better than they were.
Mm-hmm.
We all agree on that.
Right.
The injuries played a part of that.
Certainly did.
Discipline was the main factor, though, in my mind. And at the end of the year,
and leadership,
absolutely true. At the end of the year, they went backwards.
They did.
After the LSU game, they went backwards. They never they against LSU and against Georgia, they were the best team in the country on those weeks. And the following weeks, they were one of the worst. Not against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt played very well. Against Oklahoma, they were horrible.
So the stat that they are rolling with here on ESPN Stats and Info is Kalen DeBoer without Ryan Grubb. It's been 3 seasons that he had a team without Ryan Grubb. Fresno State in 21 ended up that they were, 14th in the country in yards per game. In Washington, they were 6th in the country. This is with Grubb. They were 6th in the country at Washington with Grubb. And then here at Alabama last year, 42nd in the country without Grubb. So they're trying to highlight Grubb being secret decoder ring for Kalen DeBoer.
Grubb's a good coach. Saban tried to hire him. But it's like anything. It's where putting a football team together is like building a puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain pieces you have to have in place to have a chance, but you still got to put all the little pieces in to make it a puzzle, right?
Yeah.
I think he's one of those big pieces, the end pieces that you have to put together.
The corner pieces.
Yes. To get he's a corner piece, but he's not all the pieces.
And I think they needed to go through a transition. They changed everything, man. You can't. And what I mean by that is, and Jeff Allen was on Hey Coach earlier this week, kind of talking about it. When you change everything you're doing, and they changed it all, except maybe a little bit of what David Ballou was doing with the offseason program. But other than that, and then the good thing about David Ballou is he and Kalen had worked together at Indiana. But when you change everything offensively, defensively, and special teams, because trust me, we all know, since we were honored to cover Nick Saban for 17 years, he had a Nick Saban offense, a Nick Saban defense, and a Nick Saban special teams, and the coaches he hired ran what he wanted. That's the way it was. So this was,
and he changed.
completely different.
He changed he went to a spread offense from basically a pro offense. When the rules changed, he's changed.
Yeah.
And he kept telling everybody, well, y'all want these rules, and I don't like these rules, but
I'm going to adapt.
Watch what happens.
And so I think in all honesty, could the year, like I agree with Wes, it should have been better. They should have been in the playoff. But I will say this, I'll still say it.
Oklahoma.
I don't think that they were a national championship team anyway. And
I agree with that.
And so I just think there's always transition. There's always a bump. And again, you knew this was going to happen when Coach Saban retired. And I also think it makes him understand his greatness even more with how he managed the team last year, because there was a lot of the same issues with the team, but they worked their way through it. And again, I just think Kalen DeBoer, he had some bumps his first year. He'd never coached at Alabama. The thing that sticks out to me is the story that I heard, toward the end of the regular season, is they were just stunned, and they wanted it. It was their biggest win of their first year. They could not believe the energy and the passion and just the overall. And they were in big games with Oregon and Washington and all that stuff, but they had never seen anything like what happened with the Georgia-Alabama game.
That was just
magical for them. They were just it was just first. They were just, oh my goodness, they couldn't.
Well, it was a crowd. It was everything. I mean, a lot of people say I wasn't there. A lot of people say it's the loudest.
That
they ever heard at Bryant.
I wasn't in the press box that game.
Yeah. No. He mentioned Ryan Fowler earlier.
Yeah.
So Ryan Fowler comes up to me at halftime, pounds on the table like Drew DeArmond, says, "Steve, you have to come to every game from here on out."
Every time at Georgia and Alabama, he has to be in the press box.
Because I was afraid if I told you that, you got to go to every game from here on out.
You got to go to every Alabama-Georgia game. We know that. Now, I was in the stands, and I'm going to tell you, that was when Ryan Williams made that play. That's the loudest I've ever heard that stadium. I mean, and I just looked around me, and everybody around me was going nuts. I wasn't. Everybody would think.
Well, you're programmed now.
I was just looking around, and I just said, "Wow!"
Taking it in. Yeah,
that was it was just insane, and I couldn't hear anything.
I bet I've watched that play 300 times.
I mean,
I saw it once live, and that's all I needed.
There's so much to watch from Kirby. I don't know what the hell he was doing. He looked like he was trying to cover him just like he did in the game. But he was, the funnest game I've ever been to in Bryant-Denny was against Georgia.
I bet it was.
And it was a cup game.
Oh.
Where our friend, Jay Barker, played like the best game of his life.
Oh, you're talking about the comeback game in the second half where Coach Stallings basically the Eric Zier game. That's what I call it too. Because Eric's one of my favorite QBs.
Because Cups were going everywhere.
Yeah.
When they made the field goal at the
29-28.
Yeah,
that was unreal.
I had Wesley and Connor there. It was unbelievable time.
Yeah.
And Jay Barker played unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable in that game. Played awesome. But the secondary in that game, they got burned for, if you look, go watch the tape. There's a little guy named Muschamp chasing the guy into the end zone.
Toddering along.
Yeah, and a little guy named Kirby Smart.
Number 16.
Yeah, we're both just.
That's right. Yeah, number 16.
They look like me trying to cover somebody.
I think Will was 35, wasn't he? I think
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and I'll be honest, I didn't know that till years later when I was watching the highlights. So holy crap, Will Muschamp and Kirby.
Yeah,
Kirby was a really good player, but you forget that Will was a walk-on and got on the field.
They couldn't cover.
No, they could not cover Todderick Malone. That's for sure.
My best memory involving Drew DeArmond covering a game is at the SEC championship game when Nick was able to convince Jalen Hurts to stay that extra year that you were talking about. Came in the SEC championship game against Georgia.
Yeah, that was fun.
So I was sitting in the alternate press box, which is outside. I had a couple of Huntsville TV media people on either side of me. And I'm telling you, I was doing F this and F that. Drew DeArmond, because, I mean, I felt it coming. And then Jalen Hurts. I mean, that was magical. Was magical.
Fowler will confirm that y'all were in the elevator, and I did text him, and I said, dude, you just missed. He said, where are you guys? He's like, we're in the elevator. I said, you just missed the greatest pass that Jalen Hurts will ever throw.
Oh, yeah. We were in the tunnel.
4th down.
Yeah, we were in the tunnel down below. I was right next to him, and that thing was a seed.
Yeah, in the
corner of the end zone.
That was
that run.
Yeah,
goodness gracious.
That was a really it was a seed.
We can also call that the
it's the Drew DeArmond game.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
that's the Drew DeArmond game.
I guess
no, because you don't know it, but you spoke that into existence, talking so negatively about Jalen Hurts all year long. Dude comes in and just balls out, and then once again Alabama beats Georgia.
And that's the one too. I do call it the Wesley Neighbors game too, because I do believe that's where Kirby so stupidly faked a punt. I still can't believe with Justin Fields.
Well, Wesley called the one before though. That was the punt.
Well, everything's going to change now for Justin Fields because he's a Jet now.
Oh my!
It's all going to turn around from here on out.
He didn't play that bad last year at Pittsburgh.
Did he not? I watched very little NFL.
By the way, I don't know if you've seen this. I watched it last night, Wes. I kept rewinding it, and then you've had him on the show, and I know you're good friends with him. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch the 30 for 30, the New York Sack Exchange. Marty gets a ton of airtime.
Really?
I think Marty Lyons.
Really?
Great stuff.
Well,
he should. He should.
Marty Lyons, Bob Baumhauer. You'll watch tape of them in college.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how good
is it on YouTube?
Baumhauer, yes, of course. You can watch almost every Alabama Auburn game since the late.
Now, 60s. I did watch a couple of games from '61 to see your dad.
Yeah,
and I thought, goodness.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and the thing
he
is,
had 15 tackles in the national championship.
That was the one I saw because I kept. Well,
he got killed. He would have been thrown out of the game nowadays.
There was a couple of spears.
Well, there was a sickle. But they used to call the
sickle.
I take your forearm and throw it against the forehead. Yeah.
That would have been Deacon Jones' move back in the day.
Today, that would have looked like laundry day. Yellow flags everywhere.
Yeah. So he hit the running back for Arkansas. They played Arkansas for the national championship.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they ran, whatever reason, they ran right at him twice in a row. And I don't know who was blocking him, but they tried to double team him. That didn't work.
No, it did
not.
And
he hit the who was the Bambi that played for San Diego? He was playing running back in this game. Lance Allworth.
Yes.
That's who the running back was. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that for Arkansas. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I ran into who was the guy that used to do the games, Drew? For Arkansas,
David Batt.
No, and then became back then for CBS.
Frank Broyles, Coach Broyles. Yeah.
So I ran into Frank Broyles.
Yeah,
in Dallas, Texas, and I came up, introduced myself. He asked me if I was related to Billy Neighbors, and I said, "Yeah, he was my father." He says he beat our ass in the Sugar Bowl. That's exactly what he said.
There you go.
Well, I saw that.
It was 10-3, wasn't it?
Yeah, 10-3.
Yeah, but that was impressive.
Yeah,
to really watch.
That year, I think there were 25 points scored all year.
Yeah,
on Alabama.
But that New York Sack Exchange is pretty fast.
Leroy Jordan was there was a bunch of there was. I mean, Darwin Holt, who's the little guy everybody talks about.
The transfer.
I think he's still alive.
That game.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think he lives in Birmingham. To be what I've been told.
We covered that pretty well back in the day as well. All right, that's going to wrap us up here as we reminisce a little bit here on a Thursday. We do have Alabama baseball coming up tomorrow.
Thursday. We just had Throwback Thursday.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. There it is. We will have Alabama baseball coming up tomorrow as the Crimson Tide. They're done over there.
It kind of shows.
Yeah.
We're officially going to raid Leo the Trash Pandas. Josh Carey's going to pop in with an update here in a little bit.
Yep.
But
That's on
if
Talk
you're
Radio.
if you're at the ball game, you already know this. So we're going to bring you Atlanta Braves baseball, of course, until the rain gets there. So they're taking on the Phillies now.
That is correct. The Filthies and the Braves come up next. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and hopefully you'll be able to hear game 2 of the series between Huntsville and Evansville after Alabama baseball is done. Good night, everybody.
Hey, folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying, Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Tellurides, and Popular Carnival.